So recently, I've observed a lot of things when it comes to people, and after a lack of interactions online lately, I began to realize something when it came to interacting with people in my category, like people who have follower account, people who do make videos similar to mine, whether it be some like gaming or maybe something like this, especially with similar standing to me in that sense. A lot of people as YouTubers or influencers, or maybe even creators, even on small following levels, even with a small follower account, when it takes root, there's some sort of invisible position. It's an invisible hierarchy as if they're higher than the audience. And this is not rooted in superiority. That's what makes this trick very subtle. I was barely able to sense this vaguely after I interacted with someone who has a similar standing to me, but they didn't really respond at all. And it's not a superiority complex, but it's more of a quote unquote, you're a fan, I'm the creator, quote unquote, and I have X amount of followers and the like. So that means your messages will be put less of a friend, but more of a fan. And I call this a parasocial micro celebrity mindset. It's very small, it's not even noticeable. And these types of people in my category, once the time comes, they start treating their people subconsciously as fans, viewer engagement metrics, and just followers. But that overlooks friends, that overlooks egos, and that overlooks people who are genuinely looking to be with them. They begin to see them no longer as equal peers, but more of just distortion. And I call this a parasocial distortion, as I said earlier. It's an invisible hierarchy from changing to person, changing into creator to observer. That right there is where the roles shift, and it's very close to the definition of distortion when you look at it in a different way. And I did not notice this sharply at all because I thought people would still approach me the same way. But now I notice this because I interacted with someone who has a similar follower count to me, who does similar videos like me, except the reflection stuff. I transitioned to more recording each day. I did used to have a gaming phase, obviously, see the old FNAF stuff, and sometimes I do make gaming videos here and there, but it's not as often as before. But what I noticed is that as I transition to more to reflecting and recording every day, I realized this subtle truth, and I now I wonder, oh, no wonder some people don't interact with me, or even people in my category, because of this invisible hierarchy. The problem is that when it takes two, is that they begin to view their people, even people like me, as viewers and metrics, not equals, and it takes two very, very slowly. It's a superiority complex, technically, in its terms, but it's very subtle. It's not even a superiority complex, paradoxically, at all. It's just layers that become difficult to read. For example, that same person can selectively respond to others and only show what aligns with their persona, but not who they truly are as people. And this is very high risk, especially for someone, let's say in my category, who does like to make videos and has editing. Let's say they have big goals. Let's say they want to be a YouTuber. Let's say they want to be a millionaire. Let's say they want to be one of those 2016 YouTubers in the rich mansion houses. Obviously, they have to edit. They have an audience. But for me, I transitioned from becoming a YouTuber to mostly recording everyday life and talking about how I'm going as a person. That's much more simpler. And that idea wasn't able to take root because that social distortion was not able to grow. I don't treat my people as in that manner. But I externalize parts of my life instead, so I don't really maintain personas. But when it comes to people who are looking for these big ambitions when it comes to editing, that's definitely something that could take root. And I believe self awareness for this is very important. I think this is overlooked until it's realized too late. And it wasn't able to take root in me because, as I said, I did switch from wanting to become famous to just recording daily life. But and to make this clear, as for me, I still view interactions as peer to peer, supporter to supporter, just as much as human as you are, guys. So please don't feel afraid to talk to me if something's going on. So just leaving that out there. But now what I learned is that this reality is very, very subtle. A visible platform presence can change positioning, or even my positioning within other people's thinking, even hierarchy too. And I reject that type of layer. I reject that thinking. I reject that in favor of equals and just peer to peer talking. And yes, I do denounce this hierarchy for its subtle toxicness, and I do not officially recognize it as valid, though it is subtle. And yes, my editing presence does not make me any superior than anyone else. I am not going to reveal every single conversation that exists. Everybody's got their own drama, everybody's got their own secrets. I'm not going to reveal any of that. But when you observe it within someone who does have big goals, it becomes very risky because there's a lack of differentiation. And, there's also, it grows very slowly and it's hard to notice without self awareness.